What is up, mates? My name is Ragoline. Welcome to July's podcast of 2026. It was really easier to say double 20. It was 6 years ago. Oh my lord. That's a lot of time since then that passed. But for me, it was like the best time of my life because I met my wife then. She was just a person I knew in 2021. So since then, my life got much better. Yeah, and this podcast is about countries. So, as subtopics, I have Russia, USA, European, Asian, African, and a country for Felix. Actually, the last one, subtopic number 5, African, perhaps is going to be just other countries. Yeah, let's just change it right now. Other countries, because there are Canada, Australia, African countries, and South American countries, Mexico. I have what to say about all of those. Okay, the first one is Russia, the best country in the world, just because, well, it seems calm in here. Like, even during this military operation, it feels, how to say that, secure. That, especially in Kaliningrad. Right now, I'm home. We moved in June. There was a video. I think it was right here in this room. Yeah, there are so many things we haven't done yet, but we have done all the rest. So, yeah, that's great. I have a video um, about my home on my Russian channel where I go in the yard, I enter every room and I tell like there are things and so on. If you want to see where I live in general, you can watch the video on my Russian channel. There is a podcast 100 something. It's called a review on my house. On the house, I think it's called, but in Russian, obviously. Okay, anyways, in Russia, well, since I was born here, it feels much easier, and since I have my home here already, bought a house, can you imagine? It feels stupid maybe to leave the country, and I have a family here. I have my son, my wife, and all of this stuff. Like, what's the point of leaving the country? And it's really almost without disadvantages living in Russia, just because all the bad things like small salary, for example, it's something that I can live with. Right now I have a pretty small salary, and still, like, I bought a house with mortgage, yeah, but still, I have a wife and a son, my family, and a house. You don't even need anything else. I mean, my wife's learning how to drive. She's gonna get the license and then we'll buy a car. We still have ability to do that. I mean, I have, how's that called? Epilepsy, and that's why I can't drive a car. I mean, I don't have, but de jure I have epilepsy. Anyways, let's move on. Well, Russia's the best country ever. I mean, to live. If you want just a decent life, it's the best country ever. Then we have USA. With USA, I want to say there are so many disadvantages. Let's start with $38 trillion dollar bill. I mean, no. How's that called? Well, they owe the world $38 billion. I mean, that's a huge amount. So I don't really understand why people are like, well, okay, yeah, someday they will return the money. Interesting enough, with this podcast, July's one countries, I learned that countries, that there are businessmen who invest in countries, and that's why countries keep living. What? Okay, that's weird. My computer is making sounds. Oh yeah, I see. It made more sounds. But a second, you still hear me and it's still on, so what's the point? I don't know. The sound is gone. Anyway, yeah, in USA there are too many people who believe in God. Not that I'm against that, but it means that people are less happy there just because people only believe in God when there's the reason for that, a reason for that. And also, medicine in USA, in the USA, I can't even say anything about that just because, I mean, the country is a giant cross for me only because of healthcare. It's um how's that called? It's not free like in any country in the world. It's just not free and that's it. They have a terrible social systems, like several of them, and none of them works. So why people live there, I don't get at all. I mean, I understand that Americans are businessmen, so they run their businesses and they count money all their lives, but they don't get anywhere with that. I mean, in normal countries, it's okay to be rich. Well, it's great to be rich. Yeah, yeah. Listen to me. It's great to be rich in normal country in other countries. Okay, I'm not fully against the USA, but I think, and in America, it seems like being rich is normal. If you aren't rich, if you're, well, poor, you are just below a normal human. You see? So you must be rich in the USA if you live there. Yeah. Otherwise, you will are a terrible human, a terrible citizen, you know. Let's move on. By the way, in the USA, there is a great history, culture, and I like the idea of 50 plus states, that all the states are like different countries. Comparing with Europe, which is a giant, almost country that contains several countries, and you can move there any way you want. Uh, it seems like it. But in Europe, it works. I mean, these systems, healthcare and stuff, they work in Europe. In the USA, no. So living in America is just horrible. I don't know, I don't want to offend anyone, but yeah, that's just my idea, my how I see the country. So Europe, yeah, it's great and stuff, but yeah, man, really, if you are born in Europe, it's great to keep living there, because the whole world is open for you to travel, for example, and you can move to any country you want. You can learn languages and move there, travel maybe in Europe, and it feels great. But if you were born not in Europe, for example, like me, I was born in Russia and I can't move to Europe unless I get an offer in some company, and then I can move. But it would take about a year to get to living there, you know, because I would need my to make my documents, accommodation, healthcare, a lot of things. I thought about moving to, for example, Germany, or I really liked living in Spain just because it's so relaxed. But in reality, it's not worth it. Like, what's the point? Just for Felix to get brilliant education, and just because healthcare is better in Europe, but I'm not sure that he's gonna need it, so it's more like for me and for him to see the whole world open for him. Well, it's all great, but if he wants it, he may move there. But it doesn't make me move there. Like, I don't need it. Felix might need it. But again, I'm not sure. Europe is great, for real. Um, so many languages: German, Spanish, Italian, well, English in all the countries and all this stuff, but um, I don't know. I like Europe. Well, I live in Europe. I live closer to Spain or Germany than Lithuania, for example. So yeah, it's all great. The weather is not so good today. I mean, it's cloudy and rain drops. Well, yeah, whatever. Let's move on. Asian countries. I've read about them. It's even harder to move to Asian countries like China, Japan, Korea, or some other less progressive countries like there is there are several, but I was thinking about Thailand, of course. In Russia, you can easily move to Thailand, but it's it's a terrible idea for real because I mean, what's the point? Well, at least for me, it's bad just because the weather there isn't that good. Yeah, I'm learning Chinese, but just because Russia is more connected to China than to other country, I think. In other country, of course, other countries, another country, any country. Yeah, Russia is really close to China, maybe mentally or something like this, whatever, and geographically, of course. But yeah, I will never move there to live there. I'm learning the language just because it feels interesting, because it's more difficult than European languages. I know English, I know Spanish, well, Russian native, but but English and Spanish, they are so close to each other, like in everything, that I wanted to learn something new. I don't see the reason to learn Japanese, but learning Chinese, yeah, well, that might be useful. And I really like it. I even downloaded a couple textbooks so I can dive deeper, you know. And then, well, yeah, you can't even. No, no. If you get an offer, job offer, you can move, but it would take much more than moving to Europe. For example, to Asia, for example, moving to China would take at least 2 years to get their mentality, to get the language, to, well, set everything. including healthcare documents and stuff. It's too difficult. And again, I like European countries more than Asian. And my wife doesn't like Asian countries uh, this much. So perhaps we won't even travel to Asia, like to China, Japan, and other countries, just because, like, what's the point? Then let's move to the next one, other countries. So, it's been 20 minutes. Okay, other countries. So, yeah, Canada. My brother lived in Canada for a year, I think it was. Like a year, yeah. And it's great, but like, what's the point? Again, it's pretty difficult to move there. You need to get an offer from a company so you can move there. And also, it's really like Russia. Of course, there are advantages. There are disadvantages comparing to Russia, and well, I don't know. Well, Canada is fine. It's cold there, but not as cold as in Russia. However, I live in Kaliningrad, well, close to it. So I think it's less cold than in Moscow, and the weather is like in Europe, but maybe better. So like it's the weather is like in Lithuania, I think. Anyway, um it was Canada. So Canada is good. At some point it is better than Russia, but again, it's almost not a real country. Not because Americans say that, but because I don't know, it feels like there is the USA, there is Europe, there is Asia, and countries in Asia are so apart from each other, but still there is Asia, Europe, the USA, and Canada. Canada doesn't seem like the seem like America's level, because America basically controls all the economics, politics, and all this stuff in the world. And Canada basically controls nothing. Like every other country, but every other country is connected to the, well, every European country is being controlled by the Europe itself. Every Asian country is not controlled by the Asian government, of course, but still, Canada, well, feels weird. I don't know. It's difficult to say. Also, there is Australia. I read that it's like Canada, but whole different, and it's like Russia, but whole different because it's warm there, it's very dangerous there. Well, it's like, yeah, let's say that in Canada it feels secure, people feel secure, And in Australia, they don't, just because the wildlife. But it feels good there, I don't know. But I don't want to move there or even travel there just because of giant spiders, snakes, and so on that you can find in your home. That is terrible, horrible, and other words like this. Then we have Mexico, for example. My brother now lives in Mexico, and it feels good for him. Also, he's going to be a citizen and all this stuff. He's gonna get the, how's that called? He's gonna become Mexican at some point. At least he wants to. And I think it's good. Europe is better, but still, yeah. Having Mexican citizenship is, well, great. At least there are more countries to travel to without visa than for Russians. I think it's not that good. Well, there is the warning, the Arial sisters, but it's not worth it to move there for them, for example. Mm, then, well, yeah, I'm glad that my brother found his country, but still, I mean, it's weird to move to Mexico. That is a level behind Russia, for example. But here, yeah, due in political ideas, if it makes any sense. Yeah. Then we have, well, Mexico is fine. I like the country, but I wouldn't like to move there. Maybe just travel when my bro has his house there. Maybe apartment. Well, home. Yeah. Then maybe we're gonna move. I mean, travel there with. I'm gonna move there with my wife, my son, maybe other children, with my family. Then, African countries. There are many good ones, like Egypt and Rwanda. But I mean, it's weird to move to Africa because Africa is definitely below Russia in its level. Let's say that the USA, Europe, and even Asia, maybe somewhere near Russia, maybe even higher in general. But Africa is way below. And South America as well. I mean, the security level, well, yeah, the security level for people living there is horrifying because you can be killed just because somebody didn't like you, and that's it. At least that's what I got with the AI. I asked about every country and all this stuff. So it's tremendous. I don't know. Okay, let's move to the last subtopic, a country for Felix. I mean, it's great if he stays in Russia, but I don't know, for some reason I like Europe more. Again, I said about that. Just because there are many opportunities. In Russia, well, you keep living, you're close to your family, to your parents, grandparents. I mean, speaking to Felix, he would be close to me, to his mother, to his grandparents, and his siblings. I am not saying that there are any, and that his siblings are gonna stay in Russia. Still, in Europe, for example, there is an opportunity to get a great education. There is an opportunity to, well, live in Europe, to move there, to be able to travel to any country in the world without visa. And there are more opportunities, job opportunities. You can learn any language, well, easier, let's say. Yeah, so I would like him to move to Europe somewhere, but again, I I'm not gonna say that like, Felix, you need to move to Europe, some European country, I don't know, Netherlands. No, I'm gonna say that he has a choice. He can choose any country in the world where he wants to live, but he would need to do so many things to get there. Even staying in Russia needs you to do so many things. And Russia is great. I mean, if he decides to stay here, it's amazing because there are many opportunities in life, but there are also some, um, maybe, I don't want to say restrictions, but some kinda. I mean, you can live a great life here, but still, maybe it would be better to live in Europe. Living in America is worse than in Russia and anywhere in the world. um, just a joke. Then in Europe, yeah, almost any country is, well, I can't say better, but if you want to find opportunities or advantages, it's easier to find them in Europe. Asian countries, well, they are for, what's the word? For amateurs. For, no. For people who will like the culture, the style of living there. Not for everyone, definitely. And other countries like Canada is actually fine. Australia, well, I don't know. Well, it's actually fine, but still, I don't like the idea of finding a giant spider in your room for no reason. mm, so yeah, Australia is nice, but it's almost not worth it living there. And also there is Canada is great. Mexico. Well, for Felix, Mexico is, I mean, way lower than he might get. But there is his uncle, with who he may not live, but connect. Yeah, but it's not worth it again. Almost. Then there are African and South American countries which are way below his level, way below Russia and stuff. So I wouldn't want him to live there. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. So it sounds almost like I'm telling Felix to stay in Russia or move to Europe, some European country. But for real, it's his choice. He might even move to Africa if he wants to. Basically, that's it. So I looked at every country in the world, well, almost, and overviewed it, reviewed every country in the world. That's it. I don't know. Thank you very much for watching this video or just listening to this podcast. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please press the like button, subscribe to my channel if you haven't yet, and maybe leave a comment down below. I would really appreciate that. I want to know other opinions on the countries in the world. Huh? Felix has awakened. 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 Bruh. Okay, again, thank you very much. Have a nice life.